Now, welcome to another edition of Battle of the Heroes and Villains, where this time we'll be taking a look at the results of the poll for Hera Syndulla, comparing them to all the other characters we've done thus far, before I then read and respond to some of your comments. But before we get to any and all of that, you can already head down and nominate and or vote for which character we do next. Just respond to my pinned comment with a name or vote with a thumbs up if the one you'd like to see is already listed. Whatever comment gets the most votes in the next 24 hours or so will be the winner and the character we do next. Alright, and now on to the results for Hera, where we'll see that 22% of voters gave her an A, 51% or just over half then thought she was a B tier character, 19% gave her a C, which left 3% to give her a D, and a final 5% that rated her as an F. And so when we do all the math here and consider A a score of 5 and F a score of 1, Hera Syndulla ends up with an average score of 3.82, which puts her into 30th place overall, and towards the very bottom of our current list. Nevertheless, I do still think that's a pretty respectable score for this character when you consider she does come from a show that was certainly not as popular and beloved overall as Clone Wars was, and that Rebels was, well, skewed more towards a much younger audience than the aforementioned Clone Wars, meaning it didn't always dig into the characters in quite the same way, or with the same depth, or tell the same type of stories than Clone Wars did. So anyway, here I'd say that's a pretty strong finish, and the comments do back that up. There were virtually no negative comments about her, despite the fact that she did get 5% of Fs, though there were a lot of people who said they didn't even know who the character was, so maybe that's where some come from. Either way, before we do get to those comments, let me quickly say thank you once again to everyone who votes, comments, and watches the videos. It's all greatly appreciated. And now let's begin, as usual, with the top-rated comment, which this time came to us from Catarans, Dystros, and Knights, oh my, who said, "Star Wars has always been about families. Hera is one of the first fleshed out mother figures." And I think all of us, or most of us at least, have seen or heard that quote from Carrie Fisher taken from the filming of Episode 8, where she said of Star Wars that it's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it. And I mean, I think she's absolutely right. One of the reasons Star Wars works is not just the literal family aspect of it, like a son saving his father or Luke saving Anakin, but the idea that compassion and camaraderie can be more powerful and defeat an uncaring and selfish empire, or that the Jedi way is right and can overcome the Sith way in the end, which is exactly what the show Rebels is all about. It's about Ezra learning to become a Jedi, to stop just looking out for himself and fending for himself, and he becomes a part of a small team that quickly becomes a family, and Hera is essentially the mother of that family. That then brings us to this comment from Creepy Closet, who said, "I think she is one of those characters that represents the warmth of the Rebel Alliance as opposed to the cold stoicism of the Empire. Hera is somebody who is deeply committed to the cause for all the right reasons, and has a motherly affection to those working under her." And I think you're right here. I think the reason why the undersized rebellion defeats the Empire in the end is because they were fighting for each other to defend and protect, to save their way of life or their homeworlds. And I think the advantage, not just in terms of a tactical advantage, almost always goes to the defender over the attacker, to the ones fighting to preserve and protect over those trying to take and destroy. Especially when you look at the average Imperial trooper or pilot or soldier or whatever, how many of them really believed in the Empire's cause? Certainly some of them, but probably nowhere near the same percentage of rebels who fully believed in their cause. Alright, and moving on now, we have this comment from Titan Arc, who said, "Hera is the embodiment of a loving and badass mother. She keeps her family and ship intact, and she is the first one to make sure that everyone is safe. An easy A for me." Then we also have this comment from Allison, who said, "Hera is the hub that kept her crew together. I loved that her character offered support without being a stereotypical parent figure. I hope we get to see her fly again." And also this comment from Benjamin Huther, who said, "It's really hard to do a voice of reason character that doesn't seem naggy, but they pulled it off here. She gets an A from me." And again, I do agree here. Somehow they made Hera feel like a mother without making her feel like a mother, or should I say a stereotypical one. It's certainly one of the best aspects of her character that she does not come off sounding or feeling naggy. Okay, and next up here we have this comment from Diamond360, who said, "She was the mother of the Ghost crew, and if it wasn't for her believing in Ezra's talents, then he probably wouldn't have joined the crew. She has constantly proven to be a strong and wise leader, and her banter with Kanan is just perfect." Also, we have this one from Drew C249, who said, "There was such a drastic difference between Kanan and Hera and the rest of the Ghost crew. They were always my two favorite characters in the show because they didn't feel like goofballs and could actually act mature. Solid B+. And even though Ezra was clearly supposed to be the main character of the show, and let's be fair, he was, though I do think in the later seasons, Sabine was certainly pushed alongside him a bit more, and a bit more to the forefront, I mean. But anyway, the heart and soul of the show, the reason why Rebels worked and worked so well, was always Kanan and Hera, I think. Their sort of father-mother relationship that they had over the crew, and how they looked out for and kind of took responsibility for them. And it is almost a shame the story didn't focus a bit more on them at times, which takes us to this comment from Jay Makowski, who said, "Her complicated romance was so Star Wars. It never got the full light of day, sadly." Then there was also this one from Gooseneck Bottle, who said, "I must say it's a little confusing how they played out the romance with Hera and Kanan. It seemed like they were trying to do a will they, won't they, when they were clearly already together when we first meet them." And though, as I've said before in videos, I do think Rebels did a pretty good job of walking that fine line between sort of being too childish for adults and too adult for children, I really do wish they would have explored the Hera and Kanan relationship further. Not that they didn't explore it at all, they do have their moments, and it's obvious there is something between them from the very start, and maybe they've both sort of agreed to not explore it, or that they're just denying it to instead focus on the mission and the crew first. But then, of course, you have the final scene of the show, or the epilogue, where we learn they had a child together, and you're left scratching your head trying to piece together when exactly did that happen, because them even just kissing in one of the last episodes before Kanan's death felt like a really big deal, like the first time they'd done that, maybe not ever, especially if you've read A New Dawn, which explores how they first met, but it's probably the first kiss in a very long time. But apparently there was or had been something much more going on, and very recently. And then right before Kanan's death, like moments before, we hear Hera say she's figured it all out, and she tells him that she loves him, and they kiss again, and then, well, he gives his life to save her and the rest of the Ghost crew. And in an odd sort of way, the fact that they have consummated their relationship before that almost takes just a bit away from it now. Takes away from the tragedy of that scene just a little bit. Either way, though, in the end, though very shocked and left with a ton of questions, especially logistical questions, I was happy to see they had a child. And I'm very curious when, not if, we'll see more of his story, when we'll see more from Jacen Syndulla. Alright, and next up here we have this comment from Rob Stefani, who said, "Hera should have been the strong female character Disney was trying to make from the get-go. She's the backbone of the Ghost crew, a mother to Ezra and Sabine, sister in arms to Zeb, lifelong friend to Chopper, and the love of Kanan's life. Without her, the Ghost crew not only doesn't function, but it would have fallen apart long ago." I think the highlight of her character is that her maternal instincts never hinder her leadership. In fact, they enhance them. As Thrawn notes in their first meeting, she was born into war and molded by it into the intelligent leader that he unwaveringly respects. But her love and compassion keeps her incredibly level-headed and always focused on the mission and the well-being of her family and crew. Female characters like Hera should be the standard, not the exception. That's not to say all female characters should be exactly like her. We'd never get characters like Cara Dune or Ahsoka if that were the case. But the amount of love that went into building Hera as a character easily dwarfs what went into the women in the sequels, who were expected to be loved because of their gender alone. Very well said. And I think the key here is that there are many different types of ways to be strong. It's not always about being physically strong or even having incredible mental fortitude. And I think Hera, this very motherly figure, personifies that extremely well. Personifies that there are many ways to be strong and resilient and to help others without always necessarily being the hero, literally leading the charge into battle, though she can do that too. Alright, and now let's get to just a few final comments, starting with this one from Riley Lopez, who said, "I just recently rewatched Rebels, and I have to say I totally forgot how much I love Hera. You know how people say the Fantastic Four is the family of Marvel? Well, I felt the series presented the family of Star Wars, with Hera being the mother of the group, and in ways, she is the perfect mother for both Hera, Zeb, Sabine, and yes, Chopper. Also, I love the dynamic with Kanan. It was so good. Easy A for me." Then there's also this one from Slackgrain12105, who said, "She's certainly an interesting character, surviving the Ryloth occupation in the Clone Wars as a child, and being part of a family with deep roots of rebellion. Still, she felt like a supporting character. Doesn't make her less cool, though. I give her a B." Then also this one from Star Wars News and Memes, who said, "I don't know why, but she seemed kind of meh to me. I'll still give her a C, though, because she didn't actually bother me. Not that she was bad, just forgettable." Also here we have this one from Vanya G, who said, she should have been marketed as Disney's next strong female lead, not Sabine. Hera is a much better character, and most importantly for the main demographics of Rebels, a much better role model, solid B+. Up next here we have this comment from Nate, who said, whenever Ezra was going through something, whether it was about his parents or what have you, she was always there to give him guidance and make him feel better. B+ to A- character in my opinion. Then there's this one from John W. Kindig, who said, one of the most realistic and relatable parent figures in Star Wars. We also then have this one from Della, who said, the ending of Rebels when Kanan sees Hera again legit made my heart hurt. And finally here we have this comment from Andrew Burton, who said, she's a loving motherly figure, a great pilot, commander of the Ghost Crew and Phoenix Squadron, a badass fighter, a hilarious character, and the daughter of freaking Cham Syndulla. Need I say more? And no, I don't think you do, because she is the definition of all those things and more, yet is not herself defined by any one of them. She is a hero without being overly heroic, one that is easy to relate to because nearly everything she does, everything about her, feels very grounded and real and human and familial somehow. She feels like the type of person we could all strive to be a little bit more like. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think about Hera, or what I or anyone else had to say about her in this video. Or you can, of course, go and nominate or vote for which character we do next. Either way, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.